During some recent travels, I finally got the opportunity to watch Thunderbolts, but how does it compare to this past two phases of Marvel films, and is Marvel finally bouncing back from all these box office bombs? How's it going, guys? Mike here, and I want to share my thoughts and review of Thunderbolts, as well as whether or not I think Marvel is finally back on track. But before we get into that, if you're new to my channel, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, and tap the bell icon so you never miss a video. Now, like a lot of people, I've been suffering from a rare disease called MCU fatigue. This is a common plague in people who have watched the last few phases of Marvel films up to a little past Avengers Endgame, but have slowly started to fall off due to the lack of good films. However, Thunderbolts actually revived my MCU hype. This is a film that I'd really recommend that has its ups and downs, but I feel like it's a great baby step for Marvel. First, let's talk about the positives. First of all, you've got an all-star team of anti-heroes that are teaming up to take down an evil villain, which I think is a great theme. I mean, you got a lot of films in the past that Marvel has politicized all in order to pander to some kind of agenda, and I gotta say, it wasn't doing them any favors. But it seems like they started to finally find their footing again with Thunderbolts. I mean, from start to finish, I really enjoyed this film, as well as all the unique character development and humor. Although the humor could get a little corny and dry at times, it still managed to keep the pacing. Although there were some parts I was a little mixed on, namely some of the scenes where they shifted to too many OTSs and close-ups, just as all the main characters were having different conversations. And I got a little bored after a while until some of the action started happening and things finally started to pick up. I think Marvel is starting to feel things out with this. I mean, they've tried one thing after another with films like Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and we all know how that went. We've got films like The Marvels, even all these Disney Plus series like Ms. Marvel and She-Hulk Attorney at Law. And they just couldn't do it. I mean, even when they tried breaking the fourth wall, it just didn't work out for them. However, with this film, the humor really carried it, and you had some great action scenes as well. One of my favorite inclusions in this is that we finally got the live action debut of the Sentry, who is one of my all-time favorite Marvel heroes and villains. For those who don't know, I first heard about the Sentry when I read New Avengers Volume 2, The Sentry, back in 2006 when I was in elementary school. And this was a comic book that really captured my attention because it's a guy who literally fights against his inner demons. I mean, one minute he's this dude with the power of 1,000,000 exploding suns. Next minute, he's this crazy being called the Void who is fueled by Sentry's despair, negative emotions, and is probably one of the worst baddies in the Marvel Universe. I mean, it literally took the combined efforts of the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, the Inhumans, and the X-Men to take him down. And at the same time, the only reason he even lost is because Sentry finally came to his senses thanks to the timely intervention of Mr. Fantastic and Emma Frost. But at the same time, his troubles were only beginning when he got his powers back. I mean, it gets crazy where he fights other villains and heroes, he's still got to deal with the Void, and he seems to do more harm than good. This really showed, and I really like the way that Lewis Pullman portrayed him. I mean, Pullman just has that sort of vibe where he knows that he's Void, but at the same time, he tries not to mention it because it's a dark past. And I love how he portrays this guy who basically gives off the theme of battling your inner demons. Because I mean, we're in a fight every day, it is a struggle. And I've got to say, I was very impressed with how he pulled this off. I honestly had very mixed thoughts about him portraying Sentry, but I'm actually glad that he did. However, the biggest downside in the film is that there were not enough action scenes. And like I mentioned before, it's all because of some of the humor, which could be dry at the time. In my opinion, the fight against the Sentry and against the Void was seriously rushed. And at the same time, I was not the biggest fan of Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. I think it's just because I'm not used to seeing Julia Louis-Dreyfus play something other than a comedic role like she did in Seinfeld. I mean, it just didn't give off those vibes. She just sounded and looked so weird to me. I don't know if it's just you guys, but seriously, Marvel really needs to do a better job at coaching her with her acting skills. Another thing that I mentioned before that I thought was really off was the pacing of the film. I mean, one minute you had these super long conversations, but another minute you had these really cool action scenes that basically ended with New York being engulfed in darkness, then reverting back to the light. But at the same time, the pacing was just very mixed. Overall, if I was to score this film on a scale of 1 to 10, I give it a solid 8.2. While it's not the best Marvel film, it still has a lot of great qualities, and I highly recommend people seeing it. In fact, I would go so far as to say that it is a huge baby step for Marvel. Despite it being a baby step, it still is a major one because Marvel is finally starting to bounce back. Now, I encourage you guys to check out Sean McDowell. He's a great Christian apologist I follow. He also shared similar thoughts on the movie, that the humor could be weird at times, but at the same time, it's showing that Marvel's starting to find their footing. I don't know if this trend is going to continue with films like Fantastic Four: First Steps, but I really hope that by the time we get to Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars, that Marvel irons out these problems and is ultimately able to make a movie not just with consistent pacing, but great character development and action scenes that really wow the audience. Overall, though, I had a great experience seeing Thunderbolts, and I highly recommend you guys check it out. I mean, I know it's not the best Marvel film, and I know, as I mentioned in my score before, that it's something that isn't for everyone, but at the same time, it's hilarious, it's action-packed, it's super fun, and I'd highly recommend it to anyone looking for something new. Also, the post-credit scene has a lot of implications going forward, especially for Avengers Doomsday. While I'm not going to spoil it, I will say that it makes sense with Avengers Doomsday coming up, how certain events line up, as well as how certain characters get into the main universe of the MCU. But we're going to have to wait until future MCU films like Fantastic Four: First Steps drop in order to understand what goes on with Avengers Doomsday. I'm actually very curious to see how Robert Downey Jr. does in his role as Doctor Doom. My biggest theory, which I think a lot of people are probably thinking, is that Victor Von Doom is an alternate variant of Tony Stark, just like Victor Timely and people like Mr. Griffin were variants of Kang the Conqueror. So it kind of makes sense, and I'm wondering if they're going to bring Robert Downey Jr. back as either a Superior Iron Man or an Iron Man from a separate universe in order to wow the audience even further. But either way, Marvel has a great slate coming up. I think Thunderbolts was an amazing start to these next few slates of Marvel movies leading up to Doomsday and Secret Wars, and I'd highly recommend it to anyone who wants to check out something new. But I want to hear your thoughts. Are you guys going to see Thunderbolts, or have you guys already seen it? What are you guys looking forward to the most for the future of the MCU? And do you guys think Marvel is finally bouncing back, or is this just the beginning of their downfall? Let me know in the comments section below, and be sure to smash that like button, subscribe, and tap the bell icon so you're up to date with all the latest MCU news and reviews. But until then, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in theaters when Avengers Doomsday finally premieres.
Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the Mic Check XP YouTube channel. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an upload, and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time a new video is posted. And be sure to leave your thoughts and insights in the comments section and invite a friend to check out these videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you back here next week. Take care.